Well, how do you think I feel about what's been going on? Let's talk about it for a minute. Well, how do you think I feel about what's gone wrong?
You're now listening to A.R. music.
Well, how do you think I feel about what's been going on? Let's talk about it for a minute. Well, how do you think I feel about what's been going on?
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Awesome Nobody, and I'm back with another episode of Awesome Nobody Podcast. If you're new to the podcast, what's up, everybody? Welcome. Strap in. We're in for a great discussion. We'll talk about music. We're going to talk about not only music, but we're going to talk about some of the most influential people to ever come out of the New York City. That's right, I'm talking about Wu-tang. They just put out their documentary on SHOWTIME, Wu-tang Clan of Mics and Men. It's 4 parts. It's sort of like they did like a whole Netflix thing where you can view every part, right away on demand. But then they are airing the different parts, and I mean, it's just beautiful to see these brothers get their shine. And then you get to follow along with their story, and it's a great documentary, and you really feel it. So on this podcast episode, I want to go over the documentary. I want to go over some of my favorite Wu joints. I want to show y'all my favorite Wu collection, and I want to talk about things I didn't know and things I did like from the documentary. I'm your host, Awesome Nobody, and this is the Awesome Nobody Podcast. Let's get into it. Now, I wanted to start off with my favorite Wu-tang performance, which was the Vibe performance, 1997. Like, this was a big deal, man. I remember like knowing this was coming on, similar to people knowing, about the late night stuff now. And I remember staying up. My mom, let me stay up, and I remember just the impact of like the Vibe in this performance with the flames on the stage. You know what I'm saying? Kateem Hardison came out, and them just being them, it was a big deal, man. This was influential, man. These guys were some of the most influential cats in New York. And it's crazy to think that, people not from New York don't understand. But New York used to be grimy. It wasn't all this gentrification bullshit that they're doing right now. And I don't mean to disrespect Inspector by talking over him, but there used to be, 42nd Street cinemas and also the strip clubs, but they used to always play, the kung fu flicks. And, as a kid and, back in the 70s and there really wasn't much TV. So they would go to these theaters after school and watch the kung fu flicks. And, that had a big influence on RZA and some of the guys. And then, they used to word of mouth which ones was good until RZA, decided to embody it, the full embodiment. I mean, he was basically like Bruce Leroy. I would definitely love to see RZA back in the day. I'm pretty sure he was like Bruce Leroy. But I mean, this was a big deal, man. When Triumph came out, when Inspector dropped the verse. I mean, when just the visuals with the first $1 million video. I mean, everything they did was just on a whole nother level at that moment. And Method Man had to put the brakes real quick. So you know what I'm saying? This is going to be a dope podcast. I am streaming. And so if you want to view and see me as I'm talking, you can go to my YouTube page. That's Awesome Nobody Podcast. And you can check this out, on YouTube and listen to it on Spotify and every place else you can listen to. So I'm probably going to play more of the songs on the podcast, and I'm probably going to have to cut them from the video, but I'll let you know, hands down, my favorite Wu songs. And also, too, let me know yours, too. Hit me up on Twitter as Awesome NOBDY on Twitter, and hit me up on Instagram, Awesome_Nobody. I'm probably the busiest off my Instagram page, so just let everybody know. So let's get into it, man. Wu-tang Clan, Mics and Men. I mean, this documentary was amazing, right? Like I said, 4 parts. It really broke down how Wu-tang Clan started. It really broke down, how they even formed the group, how they knew each other. It really talked about how they got their start, and it really talked about, of course, in every story, the rise and fall, how they broke up, and then now how they getting back together 25 years later. I mean, I'm not even really mad about the 25 because, the 20th anniversary came up and, there was some bad blood between the brothers and, they didn't get a chance to take advantage of it, but they did the right thing. I mean, they always say the biggest illusion that anybody can tell you is time, right? So from what they did was they basically just got everybody back together, formed a new plan, and then now you see they got the Showtime documentary. They're doing either a USA tour or a world tour, and then they relaunching the merch, and so it's the 25th is just as big as the 20th. I mean, there's no better time than now. People still want the product. People still want to hear the stories. So why even put it off for another 20 years? And so I did watch the first episode. I wanted to see they actually did have like the trailers and stuff like that. I wanted to watch the trailer real quick. Let's see if I can. It says stream this season, stream this episode. I want to see the trailer real quick. So Wu-Tang had a huge impact on me, just in street style, just in saying that music, lyrical content. I mean, I've been a collector for a long time, and I wanted to sort of go through some of my collection here. I wanted to start my new edition. I recently got this. This is the vinyl. Probably can't see it. This is the vinyl for the Wu-Tang, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. And of course, I got the cassette. What I'm saying? Can't forget about the cassette. And this is actually real-time cassette. So real-time cassette means like I bought this in the 90s. This ain't I didn't buy this last year off eBay and be like, oh yeah, Wu-Tang is dope. No, nigga. I got this shit in the 90s. I do got Raekwon. And I posted some cool pictures on my Instagram because I actually went to the Only Built for Cuban Links tour with him and with Ray and Ghost. And I'm trying to show y'all here. Ray and Ghost actually signed the back a cover. So unfortunately, I don't have the purple tape. You know what I'm saying? But I know I actually did have the purple tape, but I lost it. But you know what I'm saying? But this still worked for me. And then of course I got Iron Man. Iron Man definitely had a big impact on the year it came out. And then GZA, one of my favorite albums, GZA Genius. That's why every time I go to a Wu-Tang concert, I always wear the GZA shirt, because GZA don't get enough shine. Like, to me, GZA, the way he put his album together was like the blueprint for everybody else putting the album together. And of course, Method Man, and I can't forget PLO Style. Like y'all, man, like it's hard for me to put into words, but PLO Style was probably one of the more influential, you know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can find it. Songs. That I don't know, I just used to listen to all the time. Like, I'll play a little bit of it. I'm probably gonna be able to play more on the podcast, but not play a lot on the YouTube. But this right here is PLO Style. And I just when Method Man came out with this, it was just dope. Raw, uncut. Just like I just at the time never heard anything like this. From the drum pattern. Six chambers. He even let Carlton Fisk get a rhyme off. Yo, they used to talk about MPV so much, I used to want an MPV. Peace to that nigga Verrazano. What's up, yo? Take him to the bridge. Damn, son. So that was, I mean, that just struck my mind as I looked at the cover. But yeah, I mean, a lot of B-side gems that you had to be from New York to understand. Like, you had to be there in the moment. Like, especially capturing so much culture. Like, so I wanted to watch the preview, and then I'll get more into, you know what I'm saying, just the reaction and the impact of everything. So let's watch the preview.
Something that only Staten Island had developed.
Yo, what the hell is that shit?
He was poor, looking for a way. Why are they like superheroes?
So many of y'all, man, like, nah, this ain't gonna work.
Instead of stopping, we went harder.
Wu-tang. Yeah, man, that was heavy. I mean, just the documentary had a lot of energy too, man. Like a lot of energy. So it basically started at the beginning. Just to get into the documentary, it basically started from the beginning. I mean, it showed, the thing I like is that it showed the genius of RZA, right? And if you're watching the YouTube, it says the little synopsis for the first episode. It says Robert Diggs knew there was something special about the way he and his friends from Staten Island told stories, right? They were apostles of hip-hop culture, fans of Kung Fu, members of the 5% Nation. They were survivors, street survivors. Brilliant kids, absolutely no social capital. They cut a song, protect your neck, and the world hasn't been the same yet. The RZA, the Jizza, the old dirty bastard, Inspector Deck, Raekwon the Chef, You Got, Ghost, was that ODB, Master Killer, Method Man, and Ghostface Killer. So I was reading it anyway, trying to remember what they said, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it really, they had footage from at the time where they were, cut and protect your neck. And I mean, RZA was just explaining, like, from that at that point, they even had them tell how they felt, how they was all working jobs and some was hustling and doing what they was doing on the street. But it was RZA who always had his, always had his, like, house, or that people could go to no matter what they were doing in the street. So at first it was at his mom's house, and then he went and got his own place, and then at his place is where everybody knew to come and record and drop records. And they was talking about how Cappadonna was locked up at the time they was doing and Wu-tang Clan, so that's why he wasn't there at the beginning. But we heard from in the documentary, they talked to RZA brother Devon, and then they talked about Power, Grant, and they talked about everybody, just how they came about. And I mean, it was just a dope story, man. You can really feel it. I mean, I'm just happy that the brothers saw something within themselves to push it, because I mean, that's what happens a lot nowadays. People might have a talent, somebody might say they nice, and then they just don't pursue it, and it takes a lot. It's not easy, and I just totally understand why people rather not do it. But I always say it's better to have had than not have had at all, for real. And the one thing they talked about was just RZA, man, how he had the place for him, and and then they talked about his brother, and I kind of figured this out. I kind of knew this already. Like, the brother Devon was the one in the street, and him and Power was getting busy, and that was basically how they funded Wu-Tang. I mean, said Power just pulled up with a shoebox full of money, like, how much we need, and then that's how they started Wu-Tang. And then later Power started the Wu wear on the inside. He said on the Raekwon CD, but I got Raekwon CD, and I might have taken it out, but I think there was one in each. But I just have the Ghostface, and this was the Wu wear. So this was the first Wu wear store that you could order. And I remember they had a P.O. box too, man. So they was getting all mail to the P.O. box. I remember filling this joint out and trying to buy one, like, for real, because them shirts was classic. Wu-Tang was a big influence just on the slang. I mean, and then also on the teachings, just the building and being with the Nation of the Gods and the 5%, and really just, showing positivity and growth in a unit. Because, I mean, nowadays you see solo artists, and somebody solo is one guy, but to come into the game with 9 brothers and then refer to everybody as brother, you don't see that no more. I definitely like the footage of them in the early days. I mean, because you saw them not have anything. You saw them sitting around, nappy hair and just, whatever clothes on, and then shooting their first video. And they talked to Ralph McDaniels, which was Video Music Box, and just talking about how RZA showed up with the DAT cassette, the DAT tape, and still had the barcoding on there and bad lighting. And RZA was like, yo, just run it how it is. And it was an authentic feel that industry didn't have. I mean, it was always, you know, even going back to like Temptations, they was always come present themselves in a suit, and they would be doing little line dances or whatever. We're like, yeah, we don't need that. We are who we are. You know what I'm saying? It's come as you are day every day, and they just pulled up and showed out, and with some hard bars, and you know, a lot of people. And just a lot of chambers and a lot of depth. I mean, he's talking the mathematics and then combining with the Wu-Tang, and it was just deep. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was a meaning behind it. And one thing that differs from then to now is when you would listen to something on the album, you would 100% have to rewind it. You have to rewind it and rewind it again and listen to it and then really, you know, break it down. I'm trying to think of another point they talked about early on Wu-Tang. I mean, just how when they blew up, RZA always said in the clips from the documentary, RZA always said that he was gonna blow up. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big, and he was just telling them, and until it got big. And I don't even know if they believed it. They did talk about when they first heard their song on the radio and how crazy that was. And Meth was saying his man had the little 22 and just shot in the air real quick. Like, that was crazy. I mean, I can only imagine like how crazy that shit was. I mean, to just, you know, hear that, you know what I'm saying, when you don't have anything else, you get what I'm saying, you're not working, or if you're working, you're not working someplace you want to be, and then get songs on the radio and everything changed, you're getting booked, and they just show footage of doing shows, and they talked to the manager, the old manager, which was RZA's other cousin, and he was just saying how he was driving the bus for, you know, New York State, you know, New York Department of Transportation, and then RZA was like, "Yo, man, I want you to help me manage me," and he said, "Just got it going." And they was just driving. They would drive to Philly, Virginia, and drive back to New York, to the Bronx, and drive back to Philly. You know, drive to Jersey, and it was just really, you know, beating the pavement. And that's how it all starts until you get that big break. And they said that the big break was C.R.E.A.M. Like, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. Like, C.R.E.A.M, once C.R.E.A.M came up, C.R.E.A.M was it. You know what I'm saying? Like, C.R.E.A.M, well, I should put Wu-Tang C.R.E.A.M. C.R.E.A.M was it. I mean, from nonstop from the beginning with the untuned piano. I mean, the iconic ODB singing in the background. I mean, well, how could you not like this? I mean, this was like soul sampling before soul sampling. Like, this has influenced a lot of, you know what I'm saying, stuff. Like, you can't fake this. You know what I'm saying? This was gritty. I grew up. And then combined with the lyrics of Ray, at second hand, moms bounced on old man. So then we moved to Shaolin land. I mean, come on, man. The Raekwon really put it in this perspective with the lyrics. I mean, Jesus, he told a real street story. And then, I mean, you can't even sleep on Inspector Deck. I mean, Inspector Deck, man, always had hard verses, hard bars. And I was saying this before, like, I don't understand how, from the C.R.E.A.M being the first smash, Ray, I understand Ray, and it should have been after Ray, it should have been Inspector. I don't understand, like, how it wasn't Inspector after Ray, especially Inspector was on every track that made it popular. You know what I'm saying? He was on Protect Your Neck, on his, you know, started it off with the same heavy flow, going forward, going to Triumph, not Triumph, Wu-Tang Forever. You know, on that album, A Bomb Atomically, that's one of the greatest verses of all time. Like, come on, man. Like, this guy should have been right after Raekwon. So let me see. Let me find Inspector part. Yeah. Long, hard years and still struggling. Courts play me short, now face incarceration, going upstate's my destination, handcuffed in back of a bus, 40 of us, life as a shorty shouldn't be so rough, but as the world turns I learn life is hell, living in the world no different from a cell, every day I escape from Jates, giving chase, selling bass, smoking bones in the staircase, and no, I don't know why I chose to smoke cess, I guess that's the time when I'm not depressed, but I stayed depressed, so I ask what's his worth, ready to give up, so I seek the old earth to explain working hard hard may help you maintain to learn to overcome the heartaches and pain. You got stick up kids, corrupt cops, and crack rocks and great shots all in the pot to stay pop. To be enough to be what I be, living proof to kick the truth to the young black youth. Shorty running around, smoking sets, drinking beer, but ain't trying to hear what I'm kicking in his ear. Neglected, but now to choke. You got to be accepted. That what? That life is hectic. So yeah, man, I finished that because funny story was I went to see Wu-Tang at the Rock the Bells concert. Y'all might remember it was a great festival. Actually, they bought Rock the Bells and then they turned Rock the Bells into a Made in America tour, right? That's sort of how, that's the history for that. And because actually Rock the Bell was competing with, it was always the same weekend as Made in America, so they just bought the concert out and then dissolved it. But it was a real good concert, and they had the Wu-Tang there, and the year went, and they actually had a game, I forget what it was called, like Rap Battle or something like that, where you could rap karaoke. And they had the Cream, and the dude was setting it up for me, and I was picking the song, and I was like, yo, let me do Cream. And the dude was like, yo, don't do that when that's mad hard. I'm like, come on, bro. I'm like, yo, you don't even know I'm a Wu-Tang fanatic. And put it on, and I broke like the record for it because I actually know the damn song and knew the words. So don't test me when it comes to my Wu-Tang knowledge. You get what I'm saying? And even if it is whether it's trap karaoke, whether it's regular karaoke with the Wu-Tang, I'm shit. I got it. Just ask me the lyric, I got it. So that was always a big deal for me, and that was actually a funny story. Like I killed it. So C.R.E.A.M was obviously their big success, man. That was a big crossover. C.R.E.A.M is infamous, man. C.R.E.A.M will live forever. And then, you know, from C.R.E.A.M, because C.R.E.A.M was on Enter the Wu-Tang, right? Let me see. Bring the Ruckus, Tears. No, where was C.R.E.A.M at? C.R.E.A.M, yeah, well, it's not on my joint. Oh, C.R.E.A.M might have just been the maxi single. Oh, no, C.R.E.A.M is on Enter the Wu-Tang. And then on here they had Ice Cream. They had C.R.E.A.M and Ice Cream. And Ice Cream was the other one. And I guess at this time, Cappadonna was out of jail. And they was talking about that on the documentary, about how, what's his name? Cappadonna was Devon's favorite rapper. And Devon is RZA's brother, and he was the one who was working with Power, and Power pulled it with the shoebox. So once Cappadonna got out, it said, Devon had the damn check for $250,000. That's how back in the day Capo was so so fresh, because he came fresh off that $250,000 in 1995. That's crazy, right? And this was a murder. And once again, it was always the drum patterns that was just hypnotic. You hear that? Boom, 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 boom. Shit, Method Man on the NA in the Bodega. They had mad girls in this video, and I remember looking back at it. And at this time, I thought, these were some of the most beautiful girls in the world. This is where I feel like this is where the term "mommy" came from. I'm pretty sure it didn't, but I remember seeing this video like, damn. Especially the chick that Ghostface was clocking. Smelling like Impulse. Shell Baby, wicked like Nimrod. They killed it with that. Man, that had to be a good day for them, man. That was a real video. But, Cappadonna, definitely shined on this in his usual fashion. I would have liked to hear Inspector on this. He's a black girl wonder. Oh, I missed it. Ice Cream. Where's it at? There you go. Straight down like thunder. Politic to your deficit step. Give me your number. Ice Cream, you got me falling out like a cripple. That bar was non-PC right there. But that was Cappadonna. I don't think it was his first. It was of course the first big song. But man, I mean, I remember hearing this for the first time and being like, I don't know who that is rapping like that, but damn, bars was on deck. RZA just in the background looking, and that was a big video. I remember I used to play that video over and over and over and over again. Like I remember, this wasn't the days where iPods where everything's in your ears. This is when people would ride with all the windows down, had the music up to 10, blasting it, but it would be every single car. So it's not like, what I'm saying, now it's all quiet when you walk around or when you're outside, but like, parking lots, streets, turnpikes, everybody playing the same songs. It was crazy, just how hypnotic music was when you can tell when cars had speakers. You know what I'm saying? That was just definitely a different time in the world. And that's a shame we don't have it no more. Like now it's everybody listening to it in their iPods or earbuds or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, I mean, so that was dope to hear how Cappadonna linked with everybody, and I was just happy to hear that they was getting money, man. Like, like this, just going from idea, thought, manifesting that into reality, and that showed the strength not only in them as a unit, but also showed the strength of them when it came to their studying the mathematics. So, if you don't know, they did touch this on the documentary. The Wu-tang Clan was Nation of God's Earth 5%er. And basically what it was is, they was explain and break down different things on their song, right, in their lyrics and bars, and they call it dropping jewels and giving gems. And basically a gem or jewel was just wise words spoken by wise men, to basically break down and empower themselves and basically show that they was capable of things greater beyond just the physical. They could manifest their thoughts, and they could bring things to reality through speech and hard work. And that was the basis of just calling yourself God, which was in the form of what they like Muslims and 5% is Allah, which is arm, leg, arm, head, which was the embodiment of God. And that's what they would be spitting on the albums. I mean, Raekwon really, really, really pieced all that together. I mean, like, he had a lot of interludes on here where he was just basically building, and they was just basically explaining mathematics. And I know they had a Papa Wu, who he wasn't a member as far as an artist, but Papa Wu would always be the ones who was speaking the math, and be the ones that would be giving everybody what they say, enlighten them. Like, I guess it was kind of, it's not the same thing as stay woke, because stay woke just means like for like government conspiracies and all that, but they was woke to the point where they used that mental power to basically take them anywhere they wanted to go, which was to the top of the music industry. And a lot of times, of course, most things that black people put together, white America puts a bad connotation on it. And, the Nation of 5%ers, they looked at it as basically like a drug organization, but that really wasn't it. I mean, and looking back on it now, people was doing the same thing then they do now, which is hang out, smoke weed, and chill. And now it's just, they legalized it, and they made it so we could have white drug dealers instead of black drug dealers, which was funny. When you think about it, it's sad, but it's it's funny. That was something different. I mean, and that was New York, because I grew up in Jersey, and we had a big 5% population, and they showed this in the documentary. They had Mecca, and they had Harlem, where they had I believe the first 5% place, and then they started branching out, and there was a lot of places all over the country that had them. And we had one in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And then the area I lived in had a large concentration of gods, which was people studying mathematics, and 5%. And it was started from a guy who was Muslim, and then he basically thought that those teachings should be given to the children. And he basically brought that to the youth, and that's why it was so many young people that were 5%ers. I mean, there was some people that you could say kind of just did it to do it, but at the same time, there were some people that were serious about it and really changed their lives because of it, as far as causing them to read more, causing them to think before they act, and just causing them to be civilized, over the savage, as they put it, or the 85%. And it was dope, just to see that unity, and Wu-Tang was probably the best of the best as far as showing that unity in brothers and black men. And they were men all the way. And it was dope. I mean, they dressed fly, and they were just, out there, conquering the world. And that was dope. You know, so I mean that was from my perspective of Wu-Tang as far as influences they had. I mean, it was monumental, and it lasted a long time. I mean, because after they put out the Wu-Tang, they all did their solo projects, but it was like there was a long time that they was putting out solo projects, and they had other chapters and units. And I mean, the documentary, when I look at here on the YouTube and looking, it says season 1, and it says watch episodes 1 through 4. So I just kind of wonder if they're going to do a second season, because if they did, they could get into like everybody. They can get into the Swarm, they can get into Kill Army, they can get into some of the international partners. Like they could get into mad Wu-Tang people. They did talk to about the $2 million CD they made, and they talked to the dude named Silver Rings, and how he met RZA and how they came up with the idea. And RZA was basically doing anything he could put his mind on. You got to see, this is actually funny. In the documentary, RZA and it met this dude at a concert, right? Basically brought him on stage. The dude rapped, and RZA signed him to Wu International, right? Wu International was Silver Rings, and the dude was like, I don't know, I want to say Arabic, Egyptian, or whatever. And he basically took him on tour. So when Wu-Tang kind of broke up and when all the brothers went going to different labels, RZA kind of went on this world tour in like 2006, where him and Silver Rings just did every country. Like literally, the dude Silver Ring was saying they was doing every country in the Middle East, doing shows and just getting money. And he said they was in Egypt on the Gaza Strip, and then they just thought about making music on the same level as art, and that's why they sold it. But then, I don't know how this happened, but the dude Martin Scorsese bought it. He made it all this act, and he was talking crap about Ghostface. I don't know why all that happened, but it kind of like, and that's kind of messed up, because it will forever, like, the name Wu-Tang will forever be synonymous with Martin Scorsese, when it's stupid, So that's the only part that was kind of messed up. But they talked about it still. And they talked about how, that caused some beef between the brothers. And I mean, that makes sense, because the dude Silver Rings was just getting verses, and they said he was paying them like per verse, but then it ended up being this big album, and they sold it for $2 million, and the brothers didn't see any of that cash. And that'll get you hot, man. That'll get you mad, man. So I mean, that's tough. And like they said, when they started, nobody wanted to sign it because it was 9 members. And they was like, nah, they're going to break up. You guys are going to break up. So that's why nobody wanted to sign them as a group. But then Steve Rifkin with Loud said he'll do it. So he signed Wu-Tang, and he said he would get first rights to sign anybody on that label. So basically, that's why you see like a couple people had Loud, like Raekwon's Loud. I think GZA was Loud too, right? No, GZA was Geffen. Ghost was... trying to think what Ghost was at the time. Where is Ghost? Oh, I think Ghost came out on, produced by the RZA Ghost came out on Wu-Tang Productions. So that was big for them. That was Wu-Tang Productions. Meth was Def Jam, we know that. And Wu-Tang was Loud. And so, I mean, that was huge right there, as far as them doing that, and Loud and Steve Rifkin just giving them that one type of deal. Like, that was unheard of. I mean, everybody talks about Master P, and don't get me wrong, Master P did it differently, and he did it great also. But think about, for the circumstance, especially coming from Staten Island, Wu-Tang and those guys did it just as dope. So I mean, from just getting the deal they wanted, to doing it the way they wanted, and to going other places and being signed the way they wanted to with value. And that's big, man. That's a big deal. So shout out to those guys for definitely going out there and getting it. I just wish that when they left, and they did talk about this on the DVD, they talked about after Wu-Tang and it got big and it was touring, and then other people wanted to go sign different places. I still do feel like some people should have stayed and some people should have shined, right? I felt like Inspector, and I don't know what happened, but Inspector should have 100% stayed and should have shined. Master Killer should have stayed and shined. I mean, like, just so many other people. Like, you guys should have stayed and shined. Like, they could have been on 2 or 3 albums at the peak. You know what I'm saying? Because they put out these albums later, and it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the same momentum. I felt bad for Master Killer, man. Master Killer, I felt like always represented on each song. He represented on Wu Forever, and he represented on on Raekwon album Glaciers of Ice, which is probably one of the hardest verses. You talk about hard verse to remember. Yo, this Glaciers of Ice song off Raekwon album, which is a B-side. Is it a B-side? Let me see. Glaciers of Ice. Is this a B-side record? Yeah, Glaciers of Ice is a B-side, and which just means on the back of the record, right? So on Glaciers of Ice, the A-side was Striving for Perfection, Knuckleheads, Knowledge God, Criminology, Scars Grace, Scars Faces, Rainy Days, Guillotine Can't Be All Simple. And then on the back was Glaciers of Ice. And here's Glaciers of Ice if y'all don't know. This beat though, dripping like it's marble cake, you feel me? Yo, Ghost always talking that. Yo, stay on the block, bebop, gun cop, avalanche rock, get Taylor. Yo, to me, Inspector and Raekwon rap very similar, man. Like different sounding voice, and that's another thing I don't think they talk about as much. It's just how unique Raekwon voice was. Like Raekwon, there's been a couple people who have a thick New York accent, Mobb Deep maybe, but not even close to Raekwon voice. It's crazy. But Master though. And listen, I'm willing to. It's the same thing. I'm willing to bet anybody who wants to go bar for bar for this Master Killer verse on Glaciers of Ice. As you enter the symphony, swords being swung. Your style is too local to with this. Thoughts roll down the shaft of the brain. And I'm watching the video for those on YouTube watching me. Man, look how the quality used to be clear for these videos. Look how unclear it is right now. That's crazy how unclear the videos are right now. That is crazy. Yo, once again, RZA did all the beats. And they showed that, like I said, they showed that RZA was the one who was always into music. His brother Devon was the one, him and Power was the one that paid for it. And then, it was always the different brothers with the rhymes, lyrics. And RZA was the first one, they did talk about that. RZA was the first one to get to deal with the Prince Rakeem. And RZA talked about how he used to always write raps as a kid. All he ever did was write about love. So that's why he was Prince Rakeem. Ooh, we love you, Rakeem, because all he did was love records, which is crazy. But he wasn't in the streets like that. I mean, Meth was in the streets. I mean, Inspector was in the streets. I mean, Ray was in the streets. Everybody was in the streets but RZA. RZA always, it was almost divine if you think about it, how RZA knew that he was going to be big. I'm sure he looked like a straight psycho. He was probably walking around like I keep saying, Bruce Leroy with a kung fu fit on, talking about Wu-Tang and making music. And it was like, bro, you're crazy. Until the shit just popped, and then he became one of the biggest things ever. And which is amazing, man. That's why people got to trust themselves more, man. When people have these visions and people really think they can do something, do it. I mean, the worst thing in the world is to say that you never tried, right? That's it. And if you think about it, the only reason why people fail is because they don't have the right plan. So when it comes to thinking out your future, when it comes to thinking out what you want to do professionally, just change your plan. If you fail, change your plan. If it doesn't work the first time, change your plan. So just keep changing your plan until you get the results you want. That's it. If you want it that bad, that's the thing, because that's what I be trying to tell people. Like, they don't understand. It wasn't until Kanye West put out the blueprint for making beats that people understood how to make it making beats. He said he made 5 beats a day for 3 summers, right? That's what he explained to people. And it wasn't until then that people was like, oh, damn, now. And then people actually started doing that. And that was probably light, you know what I'm saying, for him. So I'm sure RZA was doing the same thing, probably doing 8, 9, 10, 20 beats a day, all day, every day, until he made it, you know what I'm saying, for 3 summers. Come on, man. 5 beats a day for 3 summers? What's that? Like, so if I do the math on that, so it's 5 a day. Let's say it's 90 days. I got my phone out. It was calculated. All right, so you got 5 beats a day. You get 30, 60, 90 for 90 days. That's 450 beats, right? Times 3. So he had 1,350 beats. I mean, nonstop, going strong. So I mean, that was dope. I mean, you can't sleep on them brothers, man. I mean, they did it their way. I mean, that's how it should be. I'm glad that they showed, like I said, RZA. They had footage back in the day, and RZA explaining how it was going to work and just telling them. It was almost like he could see it. I mean, honestly, it was like how Nipsey, and rest in peace Nipsey, but how Nipsey was saying he could see it. How Nipsey was saying that, you know what I'm saying, everything was just clear and he knew how to do it because he could see it. And the same thing with RZA. Like, RZA said he knew how to do it and said he knew how to see it. And he could see it, and that's how it happened. And I do believe that, you know, these guys were like, you know how they always say, not saying he's Jesus or not saying he's God, but these guys are something divine in them, like prophets almost, like, you know what I'm saying, like they can make it to these levels, because it ain't easy, man. You make a record and put it out there, you see how people don't like your stuff, right? That's one thing I have to deal with as an artist, because I do make music. And shameless plug here, search Awesome Nobody on the YouTube, or just search around my YouTube page or Spotify, Awesome Nobody, you'll hear all my songs and music. I did do a lot of Wu-Tang covers, and I definitely think I'm going to release a lot of my Wu-Tang covers now that this is like Wu-Tang weekend. And when I say Wu-Tang weekend, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, I wanted to go back to Wu-Tang, let's see, the Wuseum. That's what they calling it. Wuseum, right? So if you don't know, it's an interactive. Oh, Dolby Soho. Let me go back. So if you don't know, now you know. New York has a Wuseum, so it is a Wu-Tang exhibit that is this weekend only, right? So, and this is a funny story. You talk about divine. So I'm doing this episode covering the Wu-Tang, and real talk, I'm going to New York this weekend, and I'm going to the Wuseum. So that, I mean, it can't be any better than that. So the Wuseum is basically a space in New York City at the Dolby, where they are. It's 11 exhibits, and you can walk through. It is free to the public, and it basically just covers the Wu-Tang careers, and it's like an Instagrammable store. You can go and you can do Instagram stuff, and it's dope. I'm trying to find a website I was on. I was on the Facebook page. Let's see. Yeah, it is free. I did see that it is free. I searched the Dolby Soho Wu-Tang, and it did say RSVP, so I did RSVP. I don't know if you actually have the RSVP, but I did anyway. It is between 1 to 8 p.m. At the time I'm recording this, it is the 16th, and it leaves on the 19th, Sunday. So I'm in New York this Saturday, the 18th. So I will be going there. So that's what I'm saying. That's why it's important to follow me on that Instagram, awesome_nobody, and watch my journey. I did post a couple of cool pics. I posted a picture from when I went to the Only Built for Cuban Link tour with Ray and Ghost in Irving Plaza. I got a chance to meet Ray, and that's when he signed my Cuban Links copy. And it is put on by Master Pill. So if you don't know, Master Pill is the company that Nas owns. That's right, Nas owns Master Pill, and he basically, you know, his company put all this together, and the Wu-Tang exhibit is gonna be dope. I mean, if you guys are looking on YouTube, I'm here. You can go through with me. I mean, you can straight up see here on the page. I'm going to it now. Here it is. Sign up. So I signed up for it, and I want to make sure I'm probably gonna go like probably between 4 and 8. So I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be packed, but I did. Here it is. Sign up. So it's a experience of Wu-Tang like never before through the Dolby. It says 11 unique exhibits, and I'm on the Facebook page, and you can see the pictures here, and the pictures they have, like, you know what I'm saying, from the Protect Your Neck video. You know, they got, you know, just like a Wu phone booth. They got some wallabies in there. So it looks like it's a dope event. It looks like a regular pop-up shop, which is like nowadays, you know, now in 2019, it's all about the pop-up shop. It's all about the damn brunch. It's all about the damn brunch. So yeah, I mean, the Wuseum looks dope. So I'm definitely checking that out. And, you know, I definitely am going to tweet my pictures. So like I said, also my Twitter as at @AwesomeNOBDY, one word. So yeah, Wu-Tang Clan, man, Mike Cement, enter the Wuseum. So I'm definitely gonna have my pictures throwing the Wu sign up in front of the building, And maybe I'll do some quick interviews and interview a couple people outside and see what brought them and how they hear about it. You know, so I talked about the documentary. Talked about the impact they had on me. I talked about, they did show them on tour. Like, I definitely like to see the tour photos because, I mean, I know they were touring, right? And you're talking about the 90s. Like, nowadays, you got artists that just are festival artists, right? So that means they go to Coachella, they go to Lollapalooza, they're doing the Rolling Loud. Like, help me understand, is Rolling Loud every weekend? Because I always see Rolling Loud for like the last 2 years, every weekend Rolling Loud. Like, that's dope, but Jesus. So they had Rolling Loud, but they didn't have that back then. It was really just Wu-Tang on a world tour. I don't even think Bad Boy was on a world tour like that yet, man. Honestly, I don't think Bad Boy ever been on a world tour. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tweet me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if they were ever on a world tour. But Wu-Tang was definitely a world tour. Like, just Japan, man, they had a lot of the footage in Japan, and Japan was really messing with them, like, all the way. I think if it wasn't for Wu-Tang, the Japanese culture, you know, like, there's like that little hip-hop section in Japan and China. And they're like extreme hip-hop heads, and that's all because of Wu-Tang too, man. I don't really see anybody else having that big of an effect on them. Like, I've never heard, I know other artists go to Japan, but I never heard, like, you know what I'm saying, into the culture, because they be into breakdancing, they be into like early 90s, mid 90s rap stuff, and that's all Wu-Tang stuff. You don't hear anybody like talking about, you know, any of this new music nowadays. So I mean, that's just, imagine changing the world like that to where you got people walking and talking like you. I couldn't imagine it. So they were on an international tour. I mean, and I just never seen anything like it back then in the 90s. They did talk about when they went on tour with Rage Against the Machine, and I can remember when they did go on tour with Rage Against the Machine. I like to this day, I like Rage Against the Machine, and I always can't wait for them to go back on tour because that was another group that I always wanted to see. So I couldn't imagine going to a concert and be Rage and Wu. I'd be like, oh man, you talking about passing out? Man, that had to be an overload. It had to be an overload. So yeah, that was definitely. They talked about why they ended up getting off the tour, and they talked about Hot 97, and that was disappointing to me. That was one of the more disappointing because I'm from Tri-State. I'm from Jersey. And, I grew up listening to Hot 97, Angie Martinez, 3 p.m., Funk Flex, like 7 p.m. or 8. And, I mean, that's just what you did. I used to make tapes, and I still got my tapes of the shows and the mixes that Flex would do, and, Rockefeller freestyles and all that stuff. And they said on the documentary, on the Wu Doc, that, the Hot 97 banned them. And they said that was one of the reasons for their demise. Like, I'm like, come on, Hot 97, like, that's some bullshit, for real. So they just said that, they wanted them to do Summer Jam, but they didn't clear the schedule with the manager, and they ended up flying in last minute, and it was such hectic to get there, and they had to pay to get in, they said, then pay for their own plane tickets. They said that when they got on stage, Ghostface yelled out, fuck Hot 97, and, that pretty much sealed the deal. So they banned them, and that makes a lot of sense because honestly, like, I'm trying to think. They said what year it was. I can't remember what year it was, but I don't remember them playing any Wu-Tang after a while. They would play Cream every once in a while. If you heard Cream, it was probably like and that was probably Mr. C. Mr. C probably had more flexibility in what he could do and what he can play. So he played Cream in the mix or Wu-Tang lunch mix, but that was it. Nobody else played anything had to do with Wu-Tang. Maybe a couple meth joints, you know what I'm saying, and maybe a couple Ghostface joints because Ghostface kept a record. But after that, I don't really see them playing too much more Wu, you know what I'm saying, at that time. And it was probably around the Wu-Tang Forever era, which was like 96, 97, 98, I don't know. So that was sad to hear. Just hearing about You God and some of the ups and downs that he went through, that was sad. And speaking of You God, I wanted to go back to his Instagram because if you're watching me on the YouTube, I'm going to the Instagram. I'm going to You God's page, which is You God _Zilla, and he just had the book, right? So the book called My Journey into the Wu-Tang, and it's by You God, and it's been getting great reviews, man. It's been getting really, really good reviews. So I really am looking to order this book. It says it's $3.99 on Amazon. And I saw on the documentary he was doing like the audio version, so there is an audio version of it too. So I want to check that out. I mean, I kind of want to get you guys some shine real quick, man. Like, I don't want y'all to think that you guys didn't have it, man. You guys was out here, man. Like, I ran into you guys a whole bunch of times. Funny, just being in New York. Actually, at the first Rock the Bells, I ran into you guys, and then outside of the Ray and Ghost show, I believe it was, I ran into you guys again. But my favorite joint was you guys was Bizarre, which is on that Golden Arms Redemption. That joint was hard. I used to like this song, man. Like, I used to like this song by you guys. It had a weird vibe to it, and he was Agent Golden Arms. And actually, when it came to because that was like his kung fu name. That was actually one of the hardest movies I had watched back in the day. Was the Golden Arms kung fu movies. And I got because of Wu-Tang, I was heavy in the kung fu movies, heavy in the kung fu, and this was the song. I mean, it was kind of weird, but I mean, you could feel it, the beat.
Crime, who I am, studs, war, grudge, high on the tiger rap, through the rough mind snap, flying the side strap, beneath clothing, perhaps speed going, the golden wise dome poems, blizzard unknown, visit the unforbidden, got to live wild style begun, to uplift the mind, boy, I'll bring out the sun, you trapped in this raps in this world.
Bizarre, yeah.
It's pretty hard in the city, frauds, now uplift the mind and I'll heal your scars, this rich corner smoke, we all die.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's nothing like a good hook, boy. That was a full hook, huh? Yo, don't shit on you guys. They be trying to show you guys like he wasn't out here. You guys was out here, man. So, I mean, that was you guys. Prince Paul. Oh, I don't think Prince Paul did that, but that was you guys. So you guys had a documentary. Cappadonna had a documentary too. I didn't get a chance to. I did watch it. I watched that documentary on YouTube. Actually, this was like a couple years ago, and that was actually dope to see the Cappadonna documentary and just hear from his perspective. But yeah, they did a lot of shit, man. A lot of shit over a short period of time, and like I said, couple things that was crazy that I didn't know. And just talk about the breakup, man. I mean, because you always see RZA, you hear from RZA, and you never really hear from his brother Devon. So his brother Devon said that he was on a mute, like RZA didn't want him to speak at all, but now for the 25th he said he was okay to talk. And he was just because once they funded Wu-Tang, once they was in full swing making like $25 million a year, he said the brothers wanted to leave and sign individual deals, and he said that he didn't want to let them go. And he explained it, and from his perspective, for his job title, I can understand why. But then from RZA's perspective and what RZA set up the chambers, like, it wasn't right to keep him there. He let him go forth and be prosperous was what he quoted. And, now I would say that they would have done better to stay because they wasn't really that prosperous. I mean, Method Man still prosperous. Ghostface and Ray will always be prosperous, but like Inspector and Master and you guys, like those guys should have just stayed, and they should just put out albums at the same time or in between or whatever. They did have a section on ODB, and they did have a section, talking about his journey into the Wu-Tang and how he's first cousins with RZA. And if they showed it on the documentary, like when RZA was doing all that crazy Rakim stuff, ODB was his hype man. And I guess, if you compare ODB to like Flavor Flav, like people with that personality, like crazy, unpredictable, like they loved him. I mean, they did show the clip when MTV followed him to go get the food stamps, which was like, in the eyes of journalism, like nothing like that had been done before. Like, they had the whole country on welfare and food stamps, but they never seen anybody go do it. And that's what he did. Even for his album cover, putting the food stamp card on the front of the album cover, like legendary. And he always been like a person of interest when it came to media. And I had put this together earlier and was talking to somebody about the similarities between ODB and Kanye. I mean, not like music tip per se, but just like, you know, snatching the mic from people at MTV. If you guys remember, let me see if I can find the clip. ODB took the mic at the concert, and this when he was like, "Wu-tang is for kids." Let me see. ODB MTV snatch mic. And just, you know, just that whole thing that he did there. It was like, Wu-tang is for kids. And because I guess they didn't win the category. I mean, and that's, you know, that's Kanye right there. You know, Kanye did that as well. And then, you know, just from, you know, just being unpredictable and the camera's always following him. I mean, Kanye had that same thing going on. And it's amazing how, you know, celebrities have to deal with that pressure. And the paranoia, they did put in the documentary, like there was a huge paranoia that ODB had and why he actually went to jail. And that was crazy because, you know, his wife was telling the story about how he would come off tour and go back to Brooklyn. And, you know, Brooklyn was synonymous with stick-ups, kids, and they used to rob him. So he was outside his cousin's house. They saw it was ODB, came over, shot him, and took whatever he had. And then later they was talking about how he was home asleep. They knew he had just got back, came up in the house, shot him again, took his money. And then, so now he's trying to protect himself. They say he had the actual bulletproof vest on. So he got arrested by the cops. And they, you know, for wearing a bulletproof vest, not for drugs, not for guns, but for a bulletproof vest. And, you know, and he was saying people was out to get him. I guess he would think if people was out to get you. If you get robbed once, that's PTSD. This guy got robbed twice. So, of course, he had PTSD. They're telling him he's crazy. They try to put him in the mental facility. And then if you look at the documentary, he actually escaped from the mental facility and came on tour. Well, didn't go on tour, but went to one show. And then later, he ended up going back to jail and he had to do 4 years. And when he got out is when they documented him getting out of jail, and that's when he signed to The Rock. And they showed all that in the documentary, and that was like part 3 or 4, though. That wasn't the first part. But definitely great story that they told and journey that they told and put it all together. I mean, they did talk about, you know, people breaking up and, you know, people's albums not coming out, because I never understood that either. So I can 100% understand why people was upset. Like, why, you know, You Got album never came out? Why Master Killer album didn't come out? Why Inspector album never came out? I mean, it came out so later, it wasn't even relevant into the umbrella of Wu-Tang, which was crazy. You know, so definitely check out the Wu-Tang documentary. It's a great documentary. And the last thing I want to talk about is the greatest group of all time, right? I had this conversation, and it was a debate between NWA and Wu-Tang. And, you know, of course, NWA came first, and the debate was that, you know, the group NWA was the most influential and best group because of their songs, and then because of Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. And Dr. Dre being the first hip-hop billionaire, Ice Cube being this great solo artist as well as movie actor in some John Singleton films and great films of his own productions, right? And you can't debate that. But I would put them separate. I would put Ice Cube and Dr. Dre separate compared to NWA. NWA movie was great, right? And I honestly don't know if anybody else can make a better biopic, right? I definitely would think that a Wu-Tang biopic could be dope as hell. I don't know if it could be better than the NWA. I mean, look at the Tupac. I hate to bring it up. Look at the Tupac movie. Look up the Tupac movie. But that didn't turn out that well. But the Wu-Tang, I believe that Wu-Tang is the only group that could do it. You know what I'm saying? Could do it. Maybe. And I mean, they was talking about just, you know, in the daggone film, you know, how you know, RZA did a lot of film. That's what I was trying to say. Did a lot of film himself after, he's always been on the Wu umbrella, so technically he carried the brand. NWA never carried the brand with them. They kind of dismantled it, right? But he always held the Wu flag up. You get what I'm saying? And that's what I think separates him, RZA, from anybody else in the group, because he was always the one who pushed the group and then tried to bring the group back together. And I mean, of course, might not have done the best business in their eyes, but he always kept the Wu flag up, which I feel like what has got it to this point. I definitely think that NWA might have seen a little bit more money. You know what I'm saying? Especially with Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. But I think it was NWA didn't define the West Coast. Wu-Tang defined the East Coast. I feel like when it came to Wu-Tang, they just, the slang, the realism, the dress, and the attitudes was East Coast, which you'll still see depicted when they talk about somebody from New York. And other groups too, Cameron and them, you know what I'm saying, Hove, early Hove stuff, a lot of different groups. But if you look at NWA, I feel like it wasn't until Snoop and Dre that defined the West. E40 defined, San Francisco area. And then I said his name earlier, from the West Coast. Too Short defined West Coast. Sorry. And I might be forgetting somebody, but I'm not from the West Coast, or from the East Coast. So, but I'm just saying, so I feel like if you're talking about groups, if you're talking about staying as a group, a unit, and being influential around the world, I would definitely say Wu-Tang did that. Wu-Tang is definitely the best group. Now, a close second is Boot Camp Click, man. If you guys are familiar with Boot Camp Click, man, they've been around for a minute too, and they were some savages on the mics too. I mean, they started with the Fab Five, and then they had Boot Camp Click, which was another large group, and they had their own label, and then they had Sean Price, and then they had not Helter Skelter, and so it was a lot of Smith and Wesson. I mean, they was making moves too. So I would definitely say Wu-Tang, NWA, Boot Camp Click. I might even put Boot Camp Click above NWA just because I'm from the East Coast. Let's say, like I said, I talked about the Hot 97 thing. I talked about them breaking up and then seeing them come back together, and then talked about You Got, and I talked about the documentary being good, great. It's 4 parts, like I said, and it's on Showtime. I watched all episodes on demand. I believe they are airing. And like I said, I would like to see a second season, because, I mean, you got to talk about Kill Army. I mean, I'm going to play some songs. If you don't know, like Kill Army, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, man, that was 1997, man. And they had stuff, they was Wu Renegades. Like, they was a official extension of Wu-Tang, if you ask me. This commercial's killing me. They was 100%. Wu-Tang to me, in the closest iteration that they had. And then they had the Swarm, and this was 1997. We used to listen to this every day. Yo, this shit sound crazy to listen to right now. Yo. Oh, Killer Sin. I remember I bought this album, was feeling it. Who is this? Ninth Prince. I think that was RZA brother or cousin. Bill Controversy. And I'm trying to find the one Kill Army song. Here is the Shootout. I remember I only seen this video one time back in the day, and this beat to this day is still probably one of the most influential beats when you think about it. This beat right here was crazy. This is just Rap City, the Basement days. Yeah, this was hard.
Soldiers, whoever the defeat this obstacle will receive the badge of the Wu-tang Emperor and will be qualified to carry the dirty weapon.
I got a hunger for the mic, my appetite strike late at night, food for thought, hold down the fort, up in the port of riches, last scene giving stitches, grab the cat eyes, go mode, crucifix, his team acting superstitious.
This is a body.
One vacant, reaching for his eye, a mistake, maybe coming away, God, PR terrorist, apprehended.
Oh, is God kind of bodied this.
And yo, straight up and down, don't even bring that type of shit around me. You allow me to get your whole neck slapped off your shoulders. Quick, fast, faster than the eye blink. So I think you will live amongst the loudest MCs and GODs that I run with and collaborate my thoughts with to elevate to a higher standard.
The jewels dropping jewels.
As the guard PR terrorists apprehended, analog suspects on the set. Dirty doctrine, killer concoction.
Yo, they was going double hard on that one. Yeah, that was definitely a big song for Kill Army, and then of course Wu Renegade. So I mean, I can go on for days. It was a swarm, you know what I'm saying, and that's when RZA took on the Bobby Digital. So they could do tons and tons of, you know what I'm saying, just explaining, you know, the different chapters of Wu-Tang. They could definitely do a second season, whether it be 4 episodes or whatever else. There's a lot they could talk about. I mean, the merchandise, and just some of the prices for some of those early, you know, Wu-Tang merchandise. And while I'm here, and like I said, I am doing a YouTube video, and so you can go on YouTube, search Awesome Nobody, actually see me talking about Wu-Tang. I wanted to talk about like some of the Wu-Tang video games too, because that was a big deal. Like they had Wu-Tang video games, they had Wu-Tang sneakers, they had Wu-Tang, just a lot of stuff, man. That was a lot of money. Let me see, Wu-Tang. I meant to put video game. I think and then they had the Wu-Tang Dunks. I think the Wu-Tang Dunks was like, here we go, Wu-Tang Challenge Style PlayStation 1. And then they had the Wu-Tang controller. This is for PlayStation in 1999. I remember when this was in the store, and I started to buy it, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna buy it. Here it is, the Wu-Tang controller, man. PS1 rare. They want $349 for that right now. That is a rare item, man. That Wu-Tang controller. Look, Wu-Tang Taste of Pain Challenge Style Limited Edition, $470 for the game. For the game and the controller. Yeah, and I remember seeing that too. I remember going to the store and seeing that controller in like the dollar bin. Like, I'm sure that's where they got it too. Like, oh, you got the Wu controller, yo. They got a little barcode on here. I want to see how much, if I can tell how much it was bought for. He probably scraped it off. Yeah, I'm sure he scraped it off. But yeah, the Wu controller, man, oh man, that was a rare item, man. That was a real rare item. You can't tell how much. And then let me see, Wu-Tang sneakers, the Wu-Tang Dunks. I'm pretty sure it's going for a lot of money too. Let's see if it comes up. No, not that much. These are black and yellow joints, but they had it was the actual ones with the Wu-Tang sign on the sole. Oh yeah, here they go. Yeah, they're not going for that much. They do have, because De La Soul got a pair of Dunks. Wu-Tang got the Dunks. So I mean, but that was definitely official. So they could talk about the merch. They did talk a little bit about Wu Wear, and Wu Wear was a big part of the whole movement. You know, they had that movie. I forget what the movie was. It was I remember the movie was. It was called like High School High or something like that, and the song was called Wu Wear the Garment Renaissance. I remember I bought the single from I want to say, was it Sam Goody? It was either Sam Goody or The Wiz. It was actually The Wiz. I bought the single from The Wiz, and this was on A side, Wu Wear song, and then on the back was the official Wu song, Winter Wars. And they sleep on RZA too. RZA killed this. Hold on, let me run that back. RZA killed this. Listen to this RZA intro.
Say bolder, head slower. You can detect that you a living guard from the scorer. Keep your sports state, maintain your weight. But he ate too much monosodium glutamate, and polysorbate and drug bait concentrate with sodium benzoate. Find the chicken thighs and triglycerides. And this bitch advertised her breast size. 85 didn't realize till the truth opened up his eyes.
Dropping jewels.
Civilized.
Hold on, run it back one more time for y'all. Y'all didn't even catch this. Y'all didn't even catch this. He dropped jewels. He was breaking down the nutrition facts, and he was talking about when he had the pointy rings that everybody was talking about. Diamond crystal ring shot like icicle. Yo. Motivated soldier. You could tell the true living God through his aura. Monosodium glutamate. Jules. That's the pork, man. None of that. Dropping jewels. Yo, they were sleeping on RZA, man, but RZA, you know what I'm saying, was pretty consistent when it came to his style. I mean, and this is the thing, like, if you got a group of rappers, they all gotta have their own different style. Like, RZA didn't sound like Meth didn't sound like Ray didn't sound like Ghost didn't sound like ODB. Like, they were all different personalities. I mean, I think Slaughterhouse, one of the reasons Slaughterhouse worked but didn't work was because at the same time they all sounded alike. Like, they were all give you, of course, they vocal tones and whatever, but they weren't their own personalities. Like, when you look at the Wu, you can see each one has their own personality. But when you kind of look at Slaughterhouse, you kind of felt like they were all going to give you the same type of bar structure, maybe with the exception of Joe. And then I'm trying to think of another group. I mean, BCC, Boot Camp Click, same thing. Helter Skelter, Smith & Wesson, same thing. They was all different individuals, as you could tell, and had different voices and vocal tones. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just didn't have a deep baritone with bars. And sometimes you need that. If somebody giving you a bar, the person before you giving you bars, maybe you should give them something else. You know what I'm saying? Give them some fun. Honestly, and this is a real talk, Eminem with the D12 might have been the closest group to 100% understand that. Like, if I think of the members of D12, they was all different. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made them interesting. So shout out to Eminem for that, D12. If you know some other groups, let me know in the YouTube comments or tweet me, or just leave me a comment and let me know what you was thinking. But as far as Wu-Tang, there's a lot of songs, there's a lot of discography. I'm seeing a lot of people now with the documentary posting stuff about Wu. People going back, listening to the catalog. You know, it's funny seeing some of the younger cats go and listen to Wu-Tang now. Like, somebody who was born after 1998, somebody was born in 2000. My daughter was born in 2009, and I don't even know if my daughter knows who Wu-Tang is. I'm gonna ask her and see what she says about it, because I don't think she knows Wu-Tang or just the impact they had on the world. That's crazy when you think about it, you know. But if there was a song that I could listen to anybody, tell somebody, be like, yo, you need to listen to, and this will help you understand Wu, I would 100% let them hear Winter Wars. I mean, however you want it, whether it's the full version, whether it's the abridged version, however you want. This was a mean ass song. And I mean, shout outs to Cappadonna showing lyrical skill again. He freaking freaked this song. This is the correct intro. Here we go. And they never explained why it started like that, but it was still dope as hell. It's on, Black Kid. And once again, RZA making the beat, like, coming at your door. And once again, a full hook. A full hook, none of that. We cut the top of the Maybach. You cut the top of the Maybach. No, man. Yes, this shit is raw, coming at your door. Start to scream out loud. Wu-Tang back for more. Yes, the hour was 4. I told you before. Prepare for mic fights and plus the Cold War. Like, that's a hook for your ass. This rhymes about just don't sleep on you, God. Don't sleep on you, God. Raekwon dropped the bomb, Hunchback, Notre Dame. Raekwon dropped the bomb, Hunchback, Notre Dame. Come on, man. Yo. And don't even sleep on Ghost. Cause Ghost tried to assassinate you, God. Check it. Door straight off the hinges. I appear to blow wind like one with a freestyle. I appear to blow your ear like wind with a freestyle, sharper than an Indian spear. Come on, man. Come on, man. I need Ghostface to be in your top. And Master Killer, too. Master Killer, you know, came with some bars, too. But let's get into this Cappadonna verse. Extravaganza, Tom sit still. Be wary of the thrill. Make love to your eardrums. Malcolm X beat threat. Murder to cassette. You ain't seen nothing yet. Trying to get away from it. Watch me, it come up. I'm not gonna put the whole thing, but Winter Wars is one song that, you know what I'm saying, if you like music, you like hip hop, you can 100% listen to over and over again. And I had to just, you know what I'm saying, put it on for me and let y'all know, you know what I'm saying, what is the Wu song that if you've never listened to Wu and you're looking to get into something. I mean, and that's if you're a guy, right? Because I'm a guy and I understand that we like stronger tones and deeper drums, but there's also some recommendations. I would also recommend C.R.E.A.M. C.R.E.A.M by actually the whole Ghostface album. Ghostface was always for the ladies, right? Ghostface, C.R.E.A.M and Daytona 500 was also dope. But C.R.E.A.M always had a feel, you know what I'm saying, like that showed that he was just as much of a lover as he was a lyricist, right? Which was a dope video if you ask me. And he was, I mean, RZA was almost more soulful than like Ye, because they always say Ye invented the soul samples, man, but that might not be true. I mean, Ye and RZA, I mean, RZA worked on My Twisted Dark Fantasy, and that's probably why he had the drums, because Kanye has always admitted that his drums were never where they should be. You know what I'm saying? He did always say that his drums were not good, but he got with RZA. I'm gonna see if I can find a clip next where Kanye was saying he started working with RZA. And once again, it was Ghost, Ray, Ghost, and Capo. Like, that was those dudes, man.
Yo, what's the deal, Goldilocks? Ain't nothing, I'm just hibernating. Love that watch, pour me some scotch and Obermasi.
Hold on, let me take that back. That probably went over y'all head. What's the deal, Goldilocks? Ain't nothing, I'm just hibernating. That probably went over a lot of y'all heads too. I mean, so C.R.E.A.M was definitely a song that a lot of people should listen to if you're looking to get into something from the Wu. But I mean, so that's it for my Wu-Tang review. Check out Wu-Tang Clan of Mics and Man on Showtime, four-part series. If you're not familiar with Wu, I'll put some recommendations in the comments and check out some of the songs I played for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This has been another episode of Awesome Nobody Podcast. Enter the Wu-Tang. And like I said, Twitter at AwesomeNOBDY and on Instagram, Awesome_Nobody. So until the next time, I'm out of here. Peace.